my kids are massively into football. And I use this example a lot, but I think it's still relevant, right? Which is, they go to I fill up in the petrol station. Come on, boys, come in. Got 3 boys, and they go and get a packet of football cards, right? And that is either Panini sticker card or a trading card, football, Premier League and Champions League, Europa League. And then next to it, and so I'm conscious of this, is the Formula 1 one, and then the 100 one, which is the cricket, and then the wrestling one. Where's the rugby one? Like, we expect, the game expects these kids to just get into it. You can't. You've got to like serve them with things which are interesting enough for them to take it into the playground, talk about it, and their ability to digest data is unreal. And then it transcends into FIFA, but we have no rugby game. So we're kind of missing out on a whole segment of a fan base.
Yeah.
Not because the sport's crap, but because we haven't talked to them in the right way at the right time.
Exactly. And by talking to them doesn't mean they need to see 80 minutes of rugby sit there through scrum resets.
No, and my boys are on YouTube. Are your kids on YouTube?
Yeah, it's that's basically the shorts. They're going through the shorts.
It's and actually for us it's YouTube Kids. Because they're under 8, right? We're trying to limit that, which is a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. My wife hates it, right? But actually, this is going to be it now. Right? We have to be able to sort of allow them on a platform which is in some form safeguarding them, right? And I think YouTube Kids probably does that. But so what are they looking at? They're looking at F2 freestylers, right? They're looking at football content created for YouTube Kids. Where's the rugby content created for YouTube Kids? There just isn't any.
Yeah.
So,
well, just on that one specifically, so this is one thing that we've been looking at with World Rugby is how you engage the family. So the NFL did a brilliant activation with Marvel.
Okay.
And they overlaid, it was for YouTube, and it was one of the highest viewed pieces of content they had. So it was 15 minutes, and it was a roundup. It might have not been the Super Bowl final, but it was a big game.
Yeah.
And it was 15 minutes on YouTube, and it was all overlaid like with splat and like kids animations and graphics. Yeah. It wasn't a hugely expensive process.
Yeah.
I don't know that for sure. It might have been
massively,
exactly. But I put it on at home. 15. We don't watch NFL,
even
though I like NFL because I watch all the big hits and the highlights and all the glitz and the glamour around it. But then I put it on and we watched it as a family for 15 minutes. And I said to my boss, and we both agreed. I was like, stuff like that is the way forward.
Yeah.
Like, how can we collaborate with Marvel or Fortnite?
Yeah.
Kids something or anything and make rugby more consumable as a family, more palatable. And it doesn't need to be the 80 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, like you mentioned football there, and I've had to sit on this a while. So you look at Marcus Rashford, and this isn't me being disrespectful, this is me respecting a guy who's done amazing things. My lad will say, oh, Marcus Rashford loves him. But you listen to Marcus Rashford speak, he's not a podcaster. He's not stood there giving you loads of information, but he's accessible.
Yeah.
And this is, you look at now the whole TikTok generation and how you become successful in the media, on social media and these things. You don't need to stand and do a podcast and deliver these amazing speeches. You just need to be there and be accessible.
And authentic.
And be yourself. Like Marcus Rashford is himself. He ain't going to stand there and start going into great detail about things. He's himself. And that's what we don't have in rugby at the minute. And you mentioned the Netflix doc. And yes, they had the access, but I just think we need to wait maybe 2 or 3 years for the older guard, like the Sextons, the Omanis, the Farrells, to finish. And then the next generation, because they understand what is needed to grow the game of rugby, which is being yourself, being open to cameras coming in, being open to taking selfies and doing things that me and you probably wouldn't do because it's not our thing. But these lads are.
I'm with you. Yeah, actually, so towards the end of I won't call it a career, but towards the end of me playing rugby, I shared a team with Will Collier, Max Laheath, and Joe Launchbury, and so
what team was this? Give him a shout out.
It was Roslyn Park at the time. Yeah. And so actually, and it's a completely different topic, but what's the role of Roslyn Park in National 1 to where I played London Welsh in the Championship to the English system is significant, right? Because all these players came through that system in one shape or form. So that's a conversation for another time. But Max is now like himself on a podcast, like your own, and just is himself, right? And so I think you're right. There are people that are more naturally attuned to that and want to give, and then the next generation of people see you and they see Max and they see others, and so they can visualize the fact that you guys are doing it, and so it's fine for them to do it. And that's what's so impressive, that you guys were pioneering in that, because you didn't have anybody else to look at and say, well, that's what I should do. You did it and you tried and tested it and it's worked for you.
Yeah.
But now those guys have got you as a test.
Yeah.
You've already led the way, right?
Yeah, and we're doing it in a more traditional way. And I say traditional, like as in podcasting is
now
different.
it's becoming traditional.
Now
right.
it's becoming
Amazing,
traditional.
I know.
Exactly
like
how it works.
Amazing.
But you look like Ardy Surveyor. He does brilliant stuff on Instagram, and a lot of that is around his training. Behind the scenes, he's got a camera following him, which I think is quite cool. It's kind of the YouTube thing, but culturally, especially in New Zealand, it's a kind of no-no. I saw Caleb Clark. His mates does a lad who played in the NRL, I think. They've got like a fitness thing on YouTube. It's amazing, because you're watching Caleb Clark, who's built like Jonah Lomu, showing you how athletic he is. Like, we don't see Mac Hansen, we don't see Cheslin Colby. No. I don't see the training that Mauro Itoje does, the power output, what Ellis Genge's doing. Yeah. Like, we don't see these things.
I think your new boss at World Rugby I'm almost certain it was James
Rothwell, big shout out.
He was talking about a combine.
Yeah.
And what do we love about the NFL combine is somebody's running this unbelievable 40 yard sprint or whatever the distance is, and then this vertical leap. And I've always thought, and clearly he thinks the same thing, which is actually rugby players, how do we stack up to that or not? Stuart Lancaster did some time at the Atlanta Falcons after the Rugby World Cup 2015, and when he got the Leinster gig, and he just said, like, the natural talent that you get at one NFL franchise that doesn't make the cut, he was saying it really is a stand up above where rugby was at the time. I'd love to see that. Why can we see if that's true or not?